I'm Corbitt with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, October the 29th, brought to you in part by Arvest Banks. Arvest Banks' agri-finance team knows ranching because they've lived it. With decades of experience across Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Kansas, find out why Arvest is one of the top ag lenders in the country. For more information, go to arvest.com/agriculture. Cattle market versus government. On Tuesday, we did find some footing finally after Friday and Monday being limit down on most contracts. So you're seeing me cattle futures and the cash market falling completely out of bed there. We did find some footing. The feeder market went down the limit right off the bat and then backed off a little bit and made us feel a little bit more comfortable. Your cash feeder cattle buyers and calf buyers kind of got back in the market, and for most of your cash feeder cattle auctions, they said demand was good and trading was active, so we were going back to business, albeit at lower price levels. But you know, this market had really gotten up high, and maybe for the last 6 or 8 weeks we were over our skis a bit, and we all knew it. I mean, we're tipping at an extremely high peak there, not knowing what was going to push us off of that. But indeed, the government comes in, and we don't ask for a lot of help from the government as cattle producers. You know, we appreciate the little bit of help from the LRPs, and for the most part, we just want them to get out of the way and let our markets be true and just respond to supply and demand. And even though it's not always profitable, especially for your cow-calf producers, we like it that way. But this all started with a Trump tweet or post on his Truth Media social there about you know, our beef high, and he was wanting to, even though he loved the ranchers, he wanted to bring the price of beef down, and he was going to do that through imports from Argentina, which we all knew was not going to be a lot because Argentina doesn't have a lot to provide there. And then later, a couple days later, it was a more harsh tweet from Trump on his Truth Media social there. Even if that was brought on by a cattlemen's group that's motto is they just want a seat at the table, and then they refused a seat at the most prestigious table in the world when they refused to show up at his announcement by Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins there. And then, enraged, he sent out another tweet there that said that he wished cattlemen knew what he had done for them, and that this big price that we've been enjoying was all because of him, because of the tariffs. And that was totally untrue. There's no truth to that at all. Whether he knew it or not, or he just did it in a fit of rage, it really enraged a lot of the cattle industry, and in fact pushed a lot of weaker Trump backers away from Trump there. But you know, and then both of those tweets caused limit down markets on your CME cattle futures. And then as we went through all this tumultuous time there, we didn't get a cattle on feed report on Friday that we assumed and probably would have been bullish to your feeder cattle market and positive for your cattle markets as a whole because the government was shut down. And then in all of this, people couldn't sign up for LRPs during the limit down markets because they were locked up, so they couldn't even sign any LRPs. That frustrated them even more. And then, even though we assume, and by all rights, it's probably true that Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins is against opening the Mexico border to cattle imports because of their lack of screwworm policy there. We cannot get a statement from the Secretary saying that we're not going to import any Mexican cattle probably through the end of this calendar year at least. So we could not get that. And then to top it all off, on Tuesday night, the Senate blocks the Brazil tariffs I mean, it's got to be approved by the House. Likely it will be. We don't know for sure if it will be. And we'd even heard tell that Trump was going to ease some of the tariffs and the trade barriers from Brazil. Brazil is a big deal. They are the largest beef producer in the world. They surpassed us. They've got 4 times as much beef as Argentina, and a whole lot more of it that they could send out for exports or imports into this country. We can't take any more. Stop hindering us, government there. Let us have a break. You know, get us off the front page for a while. We can't take any more of this stuff. You know, it's just been one hit after another. I mean, I know we've enjoyed this fantastic cattle market for the last 2 years for sure. Actually, the last 5 years it's been going up. Most of the up market in the beef and the cattle was when we were getting imports from cattle from Mexico and imports of beef from Brazil. Yeah, it's shot up a little more here lately because we didn't have those. But just get off our back for a little bit. Now, even after this cash market plunge and sharply lower markets on your CME cattle futures, we're still selling calves and feeder cattle awfully well. Actually similar to what they brought on the summer videos that prices a lot of cattle for fall. So, I mean, it's gone up from there and it's kind of backed up to that point. You know, the market's still really good. And beef is not high. I mean, everybody is saying it. Beef is not high in comparison to other products. You know, versus 1980, which is a ways back there, our beef prices are up 355%. Yeah, that's a bunch. But look at it in comparison to other things. Diesel compared to 1980 is up 391%. Doritos tortilla chips are up 500%. Coca-Cola is up 536%. And coffee is up 775%. So why are they picking on beef so much? I know it's a big part of the grocery bill, and then this grocery inflation is a big thing that this administration has been dealing with, but leave us alone. My God, we've had enough. I want to tell you about Brangus Genetics. You don't need high maintenance, you need cattle that work. Brangus delivers. It's time to go Brangus with GoBrangus.com, folks. Also tell you about DVAuction. You know, we've been adding a lot of auction markets to our family of broadcasted sale barns. The boys are out hooking up a bunch more this week. In fact, Bloomfield Livestock Market in Bloomfield, Iowa, they've already hooked them up this week, and on Tuesday night they were taking bids for pairs at Bloomfield Livestock's replacement sale there and getting along really good with them. And we'll be broadcasting Bloomfield Livestock Market from Bloomfield, Iowa, every regular sale going forward here. We've got some other markets we're hooking up here this week. Another one is Appanoose County Livestock in Centerville, Iowa. So you can expect to see them on DVAuction.com. Another one is Lamoni Livestock in Lamoni, Iowa. You can look for them on DVAuction. Keosauqua Sales Company, another sale barn there in the eastern part of Iowa. Good sale barn there. We'll be broadcasting them. And then late in the week, another one that we're bringing on is Carthage Livestock in Carthage, Illinois. That'll be our first Illinois sale barn, and we're glad to have them aboard there. They're just on the western edge of Illinois there. But let's look at your board on Tuesday. October live cattle futures down 132 at 227.50. December was down 60 cents at 226.57. That's not bad at all. And actually your back months on live cattle were mixed. We were glad to see that, from down just 27 cents to up as much as 42 cents. So we kind of got that shored up a little bit on Tuesday. October feeder cattle were down another $1.40, sitting at $344.10. They've got to come together this week with your CME cash feeder cattle index that right now is sitting at 360.25. We're expecting it to come down, but I don't know if it's going to come down that much. November feeder cattle contracts down 505 at 333.40, and then your back months down sharply, but not the limit, down 955 to down 1202, and they have just taken a beating, guys. Look at your grains. December new crop corn there up 3 cents a bushel at 431 3/4. Beans for November still seeing the effects of opportunity to send some beans to China now that Trump's been over there working on trade agreements with them. Up 9 1/4 cents a bushel at 1076 1/2. And your hard-red winter wheat for December up 6 1/4 cents a bushel at 520 1/2. Your fat cattle trade on a direct basis out of your major negotiated trade areas, we've already seen trade sharply lower. Now that is frustrating when you see trade early in the week sharply lower. Nobody had enough confidence in your board or enough confidence in the market conditions to stay hooked and hope that it would come up. A lot of the guys just see a little bit of opportunity of basis there, which they haven't had basis here for a couple, 3 weeks, and they were glad to get some basis, and they took the plunge there. Iowa so far this week has sold 8,700 head negotiated in your fed cattle arena there, from 228 to 230 live and 358 to 365 dressed. You know, that's $8 to $12 lower. You look at your Nebraska, they've already sold 18,000 head out of Nebraska feedlots from 228 to 230 and 355 to 360, which is as much as $15 lower on a dress basis. Kansas, not much action, but did see 150 head sell at 230, and that would be $8 lower than last week. Texas, of course, doesn't trade many negotiated and hasn't traded any so far this week. We did see our market finder, and the best market anywhere was at the competitive auction market brick and mortar sale barn at Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. They had 2850 in overnight and 3,800 head in their sale barn there at Stockman's in Yankton for their fed cattle auction on Tuesday. That's a big run, guys. Conventional fed cattle sell from 226 to 231. That's $8 to $12 lower. Your program cattle, and there was a lot of those non-implanted cattle selling from 228 to 238. And Gary Marks tells me that the conditions were mostly full on the cattle, so it may have garnered another $1 or $2 price on the hoof there, guys. Box beef cutout values were mixed after they've been up ever since Trump started talking about lowering the beef price. Your box beef cutout values have been up. They were up again on choice. Choice cuts up 177 at 379.65. Selects down 166 at 360 smooth. Your slaughter so far for the week, estimated cattle slaughter 224,000. That's 15,000 more than just last week, as your packers need product around them, so they're seeing an opportunity to make a little money. They're digging in a little harder. They got more cattle around them from big trade from the last 2 weeks there. But your slaughter so far this week is 22,000 head lighter than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Performance Livestock Analytics. Performance Livestock Analytics is a livestock technology company that simplifies data and analytics for the livestock industry. Designed by cattle producers, for cattle producers, and don't forget, you always have access to your historical data with Performance Beef. For more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. Look at your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They're working to protect your livelihood, guys. Your real-time index by DVAuction after your Tuesday sales had all concluded, and it's up to date and current, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer at 350.49. That was down $6.55 after being down over $7 on Monday. Your steer tracker, that tells you more like what cattle are bringing right now. That other is a 7-day moving average, but the steer tracker is your last 25 lots of 5 head or more that went into the index on your real-time index there, sitting at 337.87, but it was up $4 from Monday. So they were selling a little better on Tuesday with a little bit of better feeling there, but your latest CME cash feeder cattle index sitting at 360.25. Look at your big sales on Tuesday. Of course, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, they had 4,700 head, and it was similar to all your sales on Monday. Feeders selling $30 to $40 lower. Steer calves selling $50 lower. And heifer calves only $10 to $15 lower, albeit a lighter supply of heifers. Beaver was your Superior Steel Sales, home of Superior Standard Livestock Handling Equipment, stick-out sale of the day. And you look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, and you get a good test of the market at Beaver there. You can follow along with me. They had 299 head of 4-weight steer calves in Beaver, Oklahoma. Average weight was 457 with a weighted average price of $422.94. 645 head of the 5-weight steers averaged 569 at $385.13. 705 head of the 6-weight steers in Beaver averaged 648 at $339.01. 477 head of the 7-weight steers averaged 763 at $342.25. There were 230 head of the 8-weight feeder steers in Beaver. They averaged 874 at $327.26, and 515 head of 9-weight steers averaged 940 pounds at $322.09. Look at the heifers. 159 head of the 4-weight heifer calves averaged 454 at $392.07. 549 head of the 5-weight heifers averaged 549 at $342.03. There was 119 head of 6-weight heifers. They averaged 625 at $316.92. 448 head of the 7-weight heifers in Beaver, Oklahoma averaged 753 with a weighted average of $308.91. And 226 head of the 8-weight heifers averaged 851 pounds at $288.93. Now, the most impressive individual quote that I saw out of Beaver was very impressive. It was 64 steers, weighed 783 at $365.50. Now, in recent weeks, that wouldn't have been much, but for this week, it was a real outstanding quote there. I'll give you some more individual quotes that were very impressive from all around the circuit, and there was more of them on Tuesday that I could find than there was on Monday. Columbus Sales Pavilion in Columbus, Nebraska sells 56 steers, weigh 695 at $401. Lolly Brothers Livestock Market in Macon, Missouri sells 81 feeder heifers, weighed 618 at $385.50. Atkinson Livestock Market in Atkinson, Nebraska, the old reliable there, they sold 61 steers, weighed 920 pounds at $345.25. That was impressive. Philip, South Dakota, Philip the Giant, I like to call him, they sold 117 steers, weighed 510 at $501. We couldn't reach $5 a pound on a 500-pound steer on Monday. On Tuesday, we just barely did. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday in your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Mobridge Livestock in Mobridge, South Dakota. It was 2 loads of the Dwayne Gray heifers there, weighed 602 pounds at $512. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.